Hi, I'm Trevor, and welcome to Catching Up on Cinema. If you aren't familiar with the program, Catching Up on Cinema is a film analysis podcast wherein we introduce each other to films, expand our cinematic horizons, and, in essence, catch up on our cinema. So it is the month of June 2021, and it is once again that time of the month wherein we do our special Tales from the Shelf episode. This month's installment I'd like to call Boffo Box Sets. And in joining me in this endeavor, however, I have my good buddy Brad from the Cinema Speak podcast. How's it going, Brad?
Oh, it's going excellent. Glad to be here. And, I'm surprised when you mentioned box sets. I'm like, how have we not thought of that one yet? Like, we've done so many of these and we didn't think of box sets. Like, come on.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of like 101 movie collecting kind of stuff,
Yeah.
where it's like you would have thought this would have been one of the very early episodes, but no, actually, we've certainly talked about box sets, but we've never dedicated an entire episode to it. So I figured, why the fuck not? I've got some big fucking ugly shit on my shelf that I got to talk about. I'm sure you do too.
Oh, yeah.
So one thing up front, we're not entirely sure what everybody's general definition is for a box set. So I believe the way we're going to be handling the discussion today is, in this case, box sets reference a collectible case basically that houses more than one film, or like say a TV series, something along those lines. So instead of like a large like collector's edition that only has like one or maybe even two movies in it, these are just generally going to be like multi-movie boxes, something along those lines. But Brad, are we gonna have to flip a coin here? Who's going first?
I mean, I feel like I usually go first. Should we just keep that going, or?
I really do like having you lead the way, Brad. It really makes my job a whole lot easier, and I have to do that really long intro. So yeah, please, by all means, take the lead.
That makes sense. That makes sense, actually. All right. Well, I'll start with the box set here, of course. Now, I have quite a few. I guess not quite a few. I've got 3 Criterion box sets, so I'll at least start with one of those. Of course, I do love the Criterion Collection. And this box set, which I may have mentioned on a past episode, I can't remember. It is Richard Linklater's The Before Trilogy, which is just a beautiful box set. I mean, should we acknowledge that we might have video? This could be potential video for people to check out.
Yeah,
of these box sets.
Actually, that's something I should have said in the intro. This may very well be the inaugural video edition of Tales from the Shelf. If we're lucky with the technical side of things, you may actually get to see Brad's lovely Criterion package that he's holding up right now. And yeah, that is a handsome package, Brad.
Yeah, so you got the individual films all kind of in, I guess I don't know what the word is for these, but, they're not snapped shut. They're just kind of like cardboard, they're nicer than it sounds. But it is a really nice box set. You got a nice booklet in there, like some pictures, some words. I will say, not crazy about this artwork on the inside individual films. The almost like hand-painted artwork of the couples in the each of the
Ethan
films.
Hawke looks kind of Kevin Dillon-ish.
Yeah, I don't know. Something they messed up a little bit there. But other than that, this is a really great package. And for the longest time, these weren't on Blu-ray. And I think Before Midnight did get a regular Blu-ray release, which I think I actually do still own that, just regular, whatever it was, Sony Blu-ray or whatever. But the first 2 weren't on Blu-ray, and I really wanted them. I actually did end up buying them on DVD because I know, right? But I was like, I got to watch. I really love this trilogy. I love these movies. The second one is one of my all-time favorite movies. So I bought it on DVD. Luckily, Criterion, I should have known, right? Come on. Like, of course Criterion will put this out. But they put out a lovely set. Admittedly, I don't think I have watched these films ever since I bought this set. But I'm overdue. Maybe I'll watch the second one, because the second one's only like 80 minutes. Like, it's a nice watch. But yeah, it's a great love story. I think I've heard rumors that they may be working on a 4th. So if that happens, this is going in the dump, obviously. But until then, this is a great box set, I would say. And I believe there are a plethora of special features on here. You got some 2K digital transfers, just really great stuff. Criterion, they put a nice package together as always, and I'm a pretty big Richard Linklater fan. I like a lot of the guy's movies.
Actually, that was going to be my first question for you. His name has certainly come up as we've had these conversations about our collections. What would you say is your second favorite? Because it sounds like the one of those in the trilogy is your favorite, probably the middle chapter, like you said. But
yeah.
Other than those films, what else from Linklater is on your list?
I really like. I haven't seen all of his stuff. I got a few. Like I've never seen A Scanner Darkly. That's one I really need to see. I do really like Dazed and Confused. I'm gonna go out and go with like the most mouth breather choice though. School of Rock is an amazing crowd pleasing film. It is for what it is like almost perfect. It is so good. It's funny. It's so heartwarming. Like that final performance with the kids on the stage is like if you're not tearing up at that like sequence, it's awesome. So I would probably say that or Dazed and Confused are my probably number 2 from him.
Okay, well, because you brought up School of Rock, now I can officially say I've actually seen a Richard Linklater film. I was about to say I hadn't. I didn't know he directed that, so I have seen that. And while it didn't like resonate super deep with me, like you said, it's the kind of film that's like you have to have a heart made entirely of stone to not feel something like watching, especially the final performance in that film. It's just that kind of feel good film. And it's pretty well made too. Like everything about it, it's a solid technical production. But what's funny about the timing of the release of that movie is that like it didn't like grip me. Like it didn't resonate with me as anything particularly special. But I have little cousins who just adored that film, and in fact, I'm almost 100% positive combination of that and Guitar Hero were why the one of them picked up a guitar and really got obsessed with it and still plays to this day. So good job, School of Rock. Not for me, but for people just a little bit younger than me, perhaps. Yeah. But I'm curious, like, so Ethan Hawke was also in that Boyhood movie, correct?
Yeah, I do like Boyhood. I mean, I really liked it when I watched it, certainly for like, the accomplishment it was. I mean, I haven't watched it since the first time I saw it.
Took 12 years to make, Brad.
Yeah. I'll watch it probably once every 12 years. So, but yeah, he works with Ethan Hawke a fair bit. I'm trying to think if they did anything else together. I want to say they did, but I could be wrong.
I'm sure they have. Ethan Hawke seems to be that kind of guy. Like he has a lot of director loyalty. Like Antoine Fuqua, I think he's worked with multiple times as well. Ethan Hawke's like quietly like one of the hardest working actors in Hollywood. Like he keeps fucking busy. And for every, borderline direct-to-video stinker he's made, he's also made incredibly high-profile, like high-art type productions. I admire that guy a lot. Like I never give him enough credit, but like as the years have gone by, I'm like, man, that guy works really fucking hard.
Yeah. It always seems like he'll be in a few like duds, and it's like, is he over? Like, is that the end of his career down the tubes? But he always comes back with something great, and I mean, a lot of it could be Richard Linklater. I mean, he had one of those Before movies every 9 years. I mean, that's got to definitely boost your, reputation in certain circles. And then Boyhood, I mean, even in like stuff that is like a little bit lesser tier, I think like him in the movie Sinister, I think for a horror movie performance, he's great in that. I think he's awesome in that movie.
Yeah, I believe we actually ended up reviewing that for Catching Up on Cinema. And yeah, he was great in it. Like, he usually is consistently good to great. Like, regardless of what he's doing or, like, what he's in, he's usually fine. But yeah. I just think it's funny that he had the Before Trilogy and Boyhood. So the idea of coming back to these productions years and years and years after the fact seems to be something that's not foreign to him at all. So if they do end up making a Before 4... I wouldn't be surprised at all, given his track record, because that's very unique among actors and directors. But Yeah, thanks for sharing that one, Brad. That was a really solid one. I should have seen that one coming, being as you find a way to bring up the Before Trilogy pretty much every time we talk, such that I'm like getting to the point where it's like, man, I should probably just fucking watch those so I can.
You
like,
gotta watch it, man.
Yeah, so I can see what the big fucking deal is. I'm unfortunately that kind of guy that I get squirrely with my viewing habits, where it's like the things that I know I should be watching are not the things I'm watching. But I suppose the ball is to me. So I'm going to give us something completely different. Which tends to be the case when we pivot to my picks. So Brad had a Criterion Collection box set.
Very classy.
I have a Warner Brothers / New Line box set. I would assume that New Line is owned by Warner Brothers at this point. I'm actually not sure, because for a minute there I thought New Line Pictures was dead, but now I've seen they've like resurrected the brand, kind of similar to like Orion Pictures, where I thought Orion was dead for years, but it exists in zombie form in some capacity. Who knows who it actually belongs to? But there's only 5 companies in the whole world, folks at home, just so you know. But my box set is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles pizza box set.
Oh, wow. Oh, I like that.
And as you can see, it is made of a cardboard insert here that looks very similar to a pizza box. In fact, if you look at the back here, it has
That's pretty cool.
Faux grease imprints.
That is cool.
And
now, what is it? How close to a pizza box does it feel? Is it like a little rough, or is it too smooth?
It's a little bit more sturdy, but it's surprisingly accurate.
Yeah.
And the color scheme and everything makes me think of the old Pizza Hut, the black white, and I used to call it like the aggressive Pizza Hut logo. Whereas like like the font was pretty intense. Like, it's like Pizza Hut.
Oh yeah.
And then they like made it all friendly and shit and colorful when they started doing like the Taco Bell pairings and whatnot. Where it's like, why is there green shit on my Pizza Hut logo, and why does it have a swooshy bit? It's like, no, we need the stern, strong Pizza Hut logo.
Yeah.
From my youth.
They fucked up, man. They fucked up.
Yep, back in the day when you had to walk 15 miles in the snow to get Pizza Hut. Gold darn it. But yeah, you open it up and the discs.
Oh, okay, that is
like
cool.
pizzas.
That is cool. Is this okay? Well, I don't want to interrupt you, but are these the live action films, or what are we talking here?
Actually, this is the first 3 live action films, including that third one, which I haven't watched because I have no need to watch that. I saw it on VHS as a child. There are countless videos on YouTube you can look up telling you just how god-awful that film is. It's pretty fucking bad, folks. Especially because it was kind of advertised as, quote, Turtles in Time. It does involve time travel, but it is not Turtles in Time, which, if you ask me, is basically the best side-scrolling beat-em-up video game ever made. Look it up, kids, if you don't know what I'm talking about. It's special, but it also includes I think it was 2007 CGI animated film. Okay. I think it was titled TMNT, which is not half bad, but it's also not astounding by any means. It's very much a fart in the wind. It exists. I watched it once on Blu-ray via this box set. But we also have some goodies in here in the form of a bunch of photo collections here. I don't know why they chose the TMNT 3 version of Leonardo to put in there. It's the worst looking version of that particular costume. There's also like I think it's a sweatshirt material like beanie that I haven't opened because I have no need to. Yeah, there's also a booklet in here. Oh, it's a miniature trade paperback of the original Eastman and Laird TMNT comic, so I did end up reading that. And yeah, it's a wonderful little box set. And these movies, the first 2 anyway, are very, very special to me. I'm not sure if that's the case with you, Brad. I know there's a few years age difference between us, but TMNT 1 and 2 in particular, when I was little, I was born in '87. I I loved that movie. I watched it over and over and over and over again. The first one, in retrospect, it's like, yeah, it's a much better film. But as a very little kid, the second one, just the repeat, like the rewatchability factor of it was incredible for me.
Yeah, definitely not. I don't have the same level of nostalgia for it, for sure. But I love that set is great, and it looks like from the quick research I'm doing, it looks like it might be unavailable. Does that sound right? Like it's no longer available?
I got it when it was brand new. I haven't. I mean, once I have something, I generally don't follow up on it. So
you got to follow because you got to see. Like I'm pulling it up on eBay right now, and I don't know how much you paid for it, but right now there's a listing for that for $90. There's one for $125. I mean.
God damn.
We might be finding out we got some cash cows in our collection here.
Sitting on piles of cash that we're not going to cash in on because we're degenerates and we have problems.
It's just good to know. It's just good to know.
It's just good to know. It's just good to know. But yeah, Brad, if you haven't seen the first two TMNT movies, check them out, man. They're a good time. They certainly have not aged spectacularly in terms of like the humor, I guess. Like, and they are made for little kids, but it could just be that I have 100% nostalgia goggles for them. But I really do love those first two movies.
Yeah, no, I watched them probably maybe I was in high school, but probably as an adult for the first time. And I thought that I've only seen the first two. Well, I've seen the animated one. I guess the only one I haven't seen is 3. So, but the first two, yeah, I thought they were good movies. I didn't love them, but I thought they were definitely good. And I could see where if I'd watched them at a younger age, they would have hit at the right time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's a fun thing to do every once in a while. I do that, like, I call it seeing what the kids are up to. Like, I haven't actually watched that live-action Power Rangers movie from a couple years back. I grew up on the 90s one. I have the DVD of that one, but I actually wanted to watch it just to see what the flavor of it was, to see, like, what is it the kids are into these days. And I actually took that challenge when it came to the Platinum Dunes Ninja Turtles movies. They're not Michael Bay directed. They're financed by Michael Bay, but he did not direct those. I think it was the Battle Los Angeles guy, if memory serves.
Sounds right. Yeah.
The guy that did the Jessica Biel Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, did he do that one?
I think he may have. I could be totally wrong, but either way, it was Platinum Dunes. Yeah. But yeah, those Platinum Dunes Ninja Turtle movies, they both suck all sorts of balls.
See, I think the first one is. I didn't think it was as bad as people were making it out to be. I thought there was at least some fun moments in it, but not that I thought it was great or anything, but I thought it had its moments.
I mean, when it comes to franchises like that, what's really curious to me about Ninja Turtles is that it's one of those franchises that I walked away from it, but it kept on rolling. Like, they never stopped. It just kept on rolling. And even though I stopped paying attention, that doesn't mean that new fans from each subsequent generation would latch onto it at different points. And that results in a product that continually evolves and sheds its skin, which is why it's kind of interesting for me and, adulthood to watch a movie that's clearly not made with me in mind and just be like harumphing at all the things that I feel are wrong about. And then I have to, like, flick a switch in my brain and tell myself that's like, oh, that's right. This isn't my Ninja Turtles. This is supposed to be for my, like, kid that doesn't exist. But
hey, it's like they say in the famous movie quote, "Turtles never say die." Wait, no, that was Goonies. No, but you know what? Same thing applies.
Turtles never stop, never stopping. But yeah, it's one of those franchises that I don't see an end in sight. Just the strength, like the basic archetype of all the characters is so easy to rejigger, for endless iterations, such that I think they're actually working on. I think Seth Rogen's attached to it, like a new Ninja Turtles movie when they had 2 movies only a few years ago. So yeah, Turtles never die. Something like that. But yeah, that's enough out of me yammering about turtle shit. How about you, Brad? What do you got next?
Well, shit, that was a good box.
Shit.
That's gonna be. I don't know. I don't know if I have anything that can top that. Because like sometimes those novelty boxes, like I'll tell you if you pull one out this episode and it's gross. Listen, I'm gonna have to tell you. But if I think something, but that one is like one of the novelty boxes that is actually really good. That's really good.
Brad is gonna reach out through the webcam. Go, come here.
Yeah.
Come here. Hudson, come here. Come here.
But, speaking of looking up how valuable something is on eBay and looking up something that is bidding for $125, let's go into this next one from me. This is the Halloween Complete Collection set from Scream Factory. Now, for those listening audio only, I do have to make a disclaimer here. This is not the one with the black cases where there's 10 individual cases. This is the slightly poor man's version. Not totally poor man's, but the slightly a little bit more poor man's version of it's 2 blue cases with the exact same discs. Well, actually, no, it's not the exact same discs. That's a lie. This doesn't have the producer's cut. But yeah, so that's a bummer. But so I guess it's not the same. But basically, it's basically the same other than Halloween 6 not having the producer's cut. Yeah, I do love the Halloween franchise. And I don't know if I didn't get the 10 disc set, like the full 10 black cases one at the time because it wasn't available, or I was just like, I wasn't vibing with it because it was just so big. I don't know. Because when your collection is a certain size, something like that is almost like a little too much. Like now my collection is the point where it's like, that wouldn't really be an issue. It wouldn't stand out. But anyway, this is out of print. It is on eBay. I mean, I just looked it up. I think this one, there was a bid for it for $125 versus the one with the black cases. That one is going for about $420. So, there's a difference there, but this is still, getting a nice little chunk of change here if I did have to, sell some of these if I get in a pinch, if I start gambling or something. But, yeah, I don't know. Halloween franchise, I don't want to say it's like my favorite horror franchise, but I certainly like it more, and I have more of a connection to it than something like Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street. Like, in terms of, like, the big slashers, this one, for some reason, even though a lot of the movies are garbage, I don't know, just because I love the holiday, and I did watch the original at a fairly young age. It is a franchise that I do like to go back to. And it's fun to just, like, how complicated these films get, like, how unnecessarily complicated. Like the Friday the 13th ones, there's a little bit of continuity between them, but for the most part, it's just kind of a reset sort of thing. Where this one, like, they really go out of their way to connect everything together to a detriment for the most part, which does kind of make it fun in a way, how ridiculous things can get. But yeah, it's a really great set. I mean, tons of special features, and yeah, it's a really good package there.
Yeah, I think personally I veer more towards the Freddys and the Jasons when it comes to my slasher franchise of choice. That's mostly bolstered by the fact that I have the 4-hour documentaries about those two franchises. Mm-hmm. And in having subjected myself to those documentaries more than once, in fact, there was a stretch of time where I just had those on a loop. Like, I don't know what the fuck was wrong with me, but I watched both of those more than once.
Yeah.
Because I have that particular kind of relationship with those films, it adds an extra layer of depth to it somehow. I know there are documentaries about the Halloween franchise, but I don't think it's in its exhaustive detail. If one was to come out, more than likely I would expect the same people to approach that domain. I would totally consume that, and I'd probably make that a triad. Basically, it's just like, I just like all three of them. Yeah. But because of that, I just have like a different attachment to those franchises, not just as films, but as just like cultural icons. But those movies are kind of remarkable though in how they It's almost like the Fast and Furious movies when it comes to their management of their lore and their canon, where you have the Cult of Thorn shit. That's just like, oh my god, what are we doing?
Yeah.
like, do we really want to add this shit to the? Do we really want to go down this road? Okay, let's do it for the next 3 movies or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, and then it gets real complicated where H2O comes out.
Yeah.
And that one acknowledges 1 and 2, but it disavows everything since. And then the Halloween, the new one comes out, just Halloween 2018 or whatever, and that one doesn't even acknowledge 2. That one cuts out 2 because that's where they first introduced the brother-sister storyline. Mm-hmm. So that one, it's a reset where you read everything but the original is gone, which it's just kind of funny how the reboots are. It's just very interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how it almost parallels the Godzilla films in that way. Like, I don't know how well you know the Godzilla series, but generally that's how those work. Is that especially in some of the Heisei films and like even in the Showa era, like generally the rule of thumb is the first one happened, like Godzilla attacked Japan in 1954. All that other shit is bullshit. Like throw all those other movies out the window. It's just the very first one, and then whatever one you're currently watching.
Yeah.
At later points, though, they did do like multi-film continuity, and continuity in film in particular is always a really fascinating thing, just because of the time it takes to produce a film, where it's not like television where you have seasons or you have like weekly installments of a storyline that even if it's being crafted on the fly, you have new chapters every week. But with movies, you have these years-long gaps. It's like a lot can happen there. Like a lot of writers can say fuck you to the studio and leave. Mm-hmm. Leaving everything, like burning the fucking writer's room down as they leave the studio and stuff. So it leaves you in hot water, like as we've seen with what was it, the J.J. Abrams Star Wars situation and stuff, where it's like clearly there was a roadmap in place. They didn't exactly adhere to it and stick the landing, but I don't know. Like I think I've asked you this before, Brad. Like, what would you say are your favorite Halloween movies? And they don't even have to be in that box. Like, just in general.
Like Halloween the Holiday or the franchise?
Like the franchise. I meant like if the Rob Zombie movies are your favorite, I don't have a problem with that. You can say that.
No. I will say this might be controversial. I do think Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is better than Rob Zombie's Halloween. I'll say that.
That is controversial.
Yeah, I think and it's not a great film, but I think there's some interesting stuff in that second one that keeps me coming back to it. No, I don't have any great answers for that. I mean, obviously the first one is the best.
Yeah, I would probably say in a league of its own, honestly.
Yeah, I would probably say the reboot would probably be my second favorite. I think the reboot is the new reboot. So Halloween, then Halloween. And then let's just throw in Rob Zombie's Halloween, so the top 3 are Halloween. No, I like H2O. I would probably say original, the new Halloween. Then I would probably say Halloween 2 would be my top 3. The first sequel. I think the first sequel is not like amazing by any means, but I think it's a pretty well done 80s slasher. It's pretty fun, the hospital stuff. And I like the third one. I mean, I don't know. I feel like people, because the cool thing now is to say, oh, the third one's amazing, But it's like, I mean, I don't know if I'd go that far. It's good, but I don't know if I'd say it's amazing. But it's definitely in the upper tier.
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed out that the cool thing to do is to say Halloween 3 is the best of the series, because that didn't used to be the case. Back in the day, people shat all over that movie. Yeah. Nobody liked that movie. Everybody hated that baby. But it's a fine Halloween movie, both seasonal and franchise. Tom Atkins is always fantastic anytime he appears in anything. And of course it has a killer ending and a great soundtrack, but yeah, I don't think of it as being, I mean, hell, it's not even better than Night of the Creeps when we're talking straight up Halloween movies featuring Tom Atkins, but I like the immediacy of Halloween 2. Like, I like that idea of it taking place in the same night, and I like that the violence is stepped up a little bit, where it's like it feels like the second chapter of the story, where it's like, yeah, if you're going to continue this story over the course of the same night, you better fucking put the pedal to the metal and like make the stakes feel higher. It's by no means like a super exceptional slasher, but I do have a soft spot for it. I think the only one in the entire franchise I haven't seen is Resurrection, and that's with good reason. Because
I don't know, man. You might want to check it out. There's some good moments in that. I mean, the whole karate chopping or karate kicking Michael Myers. And, I mean, the funniest part in the movie is when what is it? Is it Busta Rhymes? Or is it?
I believe it is Busta Rhymes, yes.
I think, yeah. When he is walking around with the Michael Myers mask and he walks up to the actual Michael Myers and he, like, berates him, and then Michael Myers just lets him walk away.
Well, and I seem to remember my brother telling me that Busta Rhymes engages in fisticuffs with Michael Myers and wins.
Yeah.
And then the movie kind of farts to a conclusion, that, like, a completely just, like, non-ending, and then guess what? We rebooted the franchise right after that.
Yeah, it's not good, but I don't know. There is something to the point where it's like they finally just started getting like dumb with it. Like I don't know. I feel like with a lot of the Halloween movies, they were not that this is bad, but they were almost kind of like treating it way too seriously at times. Like it was like this is like a great horror property. We can't have fun with it. We got to take everything super seriously. I think with that one, they kind of started to, like, whether it was just on purpose or whatever, but it gets real goofy. I don't know. It's kind of after, if you watch them all in order, it's almost a little refreshing when you get to that one, just because of how dumb it is.
I could see that. I think a big part of my aversion to it is just the time period in which it was made.
Oh,
like,
it's
just
ugly.
Looking at it, it's like, this is an ugly fucking movie.
It's real bad. Like, yeah, because the reality show stuff and the cameras they use for the reality show that capture the, it's bad. It's real bad.
Yeah, no, it looks like straight garbage, honestly. Like, I have a lot of trouble stomaching that these days, but maybe I'll check it out someday. Before we move on, I will say that, like you, I do actually think fairly highly of H2O, though. And again, very similar to Resurrection, my opinion of it probably has something to do with the time period in which it was made, because I remember the marketing for it. I remember being excited to see it. I remember being at my friend's house and popping in the VHS tape and watching it and being like, ooh, this is a horror movie. And it wasn't even like super violent or anything, but just like, at that time, it was kind of a big deal for me. And I just remember it being pretty solid all around. Like, it looked nice, it moved pretty quickly, and I liked the third act quite a bit. It didn't come across as cheesy. Like, it felt like, yeah, this is where this movie should go.
Might be, I mean, other than the first one, I would say probably the best ending to a Halloween movie as well. Just the immediacy of just the swing, the chop, and it's just like, bam, credits, done.
Well,
Love
yeah,
it.
It's a good way to go out, where it's like,
Boom.
we can't top that, we're out.
And then I forgot about that, how they retcon that in Halloween Resurrection.
Yeah, do you want to explain it, Brad? Because I know, but do you want to explain to the listeners? Do you want to spoil it for them?
So, yeah, at the end of Halloween H2O, Jamie Lee Curtis takes an axe and chops off Michael Myers' head and kills him. But then in Halloween Resurrection, we find out that it was actually a cop or a security guard or something that Michael put the mask on. And so basically she like chopped off the head of an innocent man and Michael got away.
Yeah, apparently she had a psychotic break and she didn't see that it was not Michael Myers, and yeah, he had the foresight to put his mask on someone else.
What a great retcon. Really
yeah,
great
what
stuff.
a great retcon. And I'm sure she was thrilled to have to come back for Resurrection. Didn't they kill her off in like the first 10 minutes or something?
Oh yeah, she's not in it very long. No.
Yeah, I'm sure that was in her contract, where it's like, I have a contract stipulating that I have to do this. I'm not being on set for more than one day.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Jesus. Well, Halloween Kills will be out eventually. Who fucking knows now? But...
Yeah, they said for sure this year, whether it's in theaters or not. I mean, it's looking like it'll be theaters this year, but they said no matter what happens, it's coming out this Halloween. So
Okay, well, I'm actually kind of looking forward to it because, like
Yeah, me
you,
too.
I actually quite liked Halloween. Was it 2018 now? Jesus,
Yeah.
how could it have been that long ago? So I suppose the ball is to me, and you did mention box sets that are too big.
Oh boy.
And you've seen this before, Brad. Anybody who's seen my apartment has seen this
I
before.
think I know what this is gonna be.
Yeah, you know what this is gonna be. I'm not super proud of it, but it's just the segue that you gave me, so I'm going with it. Bye. So this is the Die Hard Nakatomi Plaza collection, and it is as large as my torso. And it is a giant plastic Nakatomi Plaza. It includes some, like, I don't know, like postcards, I think, of all the villain characters. And in the base of the tower, which I'm just going to leave in that box, I'm never taking it out, is this dainty little slipcase.
So the discs aren't in the tower.
They are in this slipcase that is in a drawer in the base of the tower. So I just took this out and I put it on my shelf for easy access.
It's in a drawer so it is in the tower in some way at least.
Yeah, it comes packaged inside the tower.
Okay,
but
okay.
I took it out because Die Hard movies are fun to watch, except for 5. We don't talk about 5.
Yeah.
So it's nice for me to have it, within arm's reach, as opposed to having to open up a box, pull out a drawer, open the thing, fuck with the tower, all that stuff. I don't fuck with the tower, Brad. I don't fuck with the tower. It occupies space in my apartment because, like we said, we're degenerates and we're filthy collectors. But I have this on the shelf for ease of access, and it's kind of stupid actually because it's just this little thing that has all 5 movies in it.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for that drawer, if that just came like separate in that box, I would say just toss that thing in the garbage. Just toss that tower in the garbage. But I mean, at least it's got the drawer, so you're good. You're good. I would hold on to it. It's cool. It does look cool. It is cool.
Well, what's kind of goofy about it was at the time I bought it, for some reason the tower was cheaper than this guy.
Really? Oh.
So I was like, are you fucking with me? It's like, I think it was because of what you mentioned about taking up too much space. It's like, we're having problems liquidating the towers. Like, nobody wants to buy the tower because it's too big and stupid looking.
Yeah.
Then my dumbass was like, oh, I'll save $1 and get the big tower.
How many casual movie fans that just want to watch Die Hard every couple of years are going to buy a giant tower and keep it just in their living room?
Yeah, for real. No, this is not for filthy casuals,
as
they would say in the fighting game community. But yeah, it does include all 5 Die Hard films. I hope we don't get a 6th. I'm happy. I'm content just knowing there are 4 Die Hard movies because there doesn't need to be a 5th, let alone a 6th. And Brad is putting up his finger, which tells me he has some bad fucking news.
No. I was going to ask, does it include the recent Bruce Willis Die Hard car battery commercial? Would that be considered the 6th official Die Hard?
That's a Nakatomi Plaza DLC. You have to go to the Fox, aka Disney website to download that, and you can install it as like firmware on your Blu-ray player. No, it has the 5 movies. If memory serves, the Blu-ray of Live Free or Die Hard that's included in this box set, very thankfully, includes the R-rated cut. Which is important because I actually have a soft spot for that movie. I don't know if that's the case with you, Brad, but a lot of people started shitting on the franchise at 4. I think it's fine. It's not really a Die Hard movie. Mm-hmm. It's clearly actually the entire franchise has a history of being like a square peg round hole type situation where literally the entire franchise basically they took a different script and slapped the Die Hard name onto it and kind of transmutated the property into the franchise film. If memory serves, Die Hard with a Vengeance was based on like a book or something. The first film was based on a book. I think the second one was as well. Fourth one was based on I don't know if it was a book or if it was just a rejiggered script, but it covered the same basic steps. It just didn't have the John McClane character basically. But yeah, I have a soft spot for Live Free or Die Hard. I think it's just fine. It's made a little bit better by the 80-yard F-bombs and CGI blood. But 5 is, oh my god, like five is just awful. Like five makes me sad. Like it depresses me, Brad, just to think about it.
I've never seen 5, and I feel like I have to, because all I've heard is how bad it is. I mean, it does look bad from what I've seen, but I don't know. Honestly, it's got to be work, because what I've seen, it looks bad, but it doesn't look like that bad. So like, I got to see it to see how bad it is.
I mean, this was kind of the movie that put Jai Courtney on my shit list for like forever, honestly. Like, he started popping up in all these franchise movies, franchises that I love and hold in very high regard. He just started polluting them with his presence. and A Good Day to Die Hard. Oh my god, that title. A Good Day to Die Hard, aside from the freeway sequence in the first act of the film, totally irredeemable. Like there's so little it has to offer. Like, they make very little use of the locales. It takes place in Russia. And one thing I noticed about the choreography of a lot of the action scenes was there's a lot of falling from absurdly high heights, and it's all dolled up with CGI to the point that it takes away any sort of dramatic impact. But something I noticed with the choreography is that, like, so many of the gun battles and stuff happen like across the room, and it's like Bruce Willis like hip firing a literal machine gun, like an M60 or something. So he's moved up in the world. He's slowed the fuck down, but he's moved up in the world when it comes to his weapons of choice. But it's just like him, like, hip firing very casually at people that are scrambling around the other side of a very large, like, auditorium or something. Mm-hmm. And you take that and you compare that to the tooth and nail style of, like, the John McTiernan movies, where it's like everything is just like it appears unchoreographed because it's ugly. Like, nothing about it is glamorous, and every kill he gets in that first Die Hard movie is like a mini miracle. Like, the first fucking guy he kills is on accident. He fell on his fucking head. He was grossly outmatched, and he luckily fell on the guy's head. But in, like, Die Hard 5, for some reason, he's basically invincible, and he's just, like, casually mowing down gangsters from across the room. It has no dramatic weight or tension to it. It's shit. It doesn't help, too, that if you were to look at this like video game structure, the mid boss of the movie is also the last boss of the movie. It's like, okay, we have an action set piece involving a helicopter. What are we going to do? Well, we're going to do basically the same action sequence involving literally the same helicopter. It's like, didn't we see that like 40 minutes ago? And I think it was better the first time. It's a shit show, Brad. You really don't need to see it. Although maybe if, like, you're really pissed off at your girlfriend and you want to, like, subject her to, like, some masochistic viewing, do some hate watching or something, maybe you could do, like, a double feature of A Good Day to Die Hard and Terminator Genesis. Yeah. It's like back to back.
I mean, if I really wanted to push it, I can come up with some more stuff that would be probably a little more traumatic for her than that.
I'm sure. I've seen bits of your collection, Brad. I'm sure you got a lot of ammunition there. Like, if you need to torture someone with your movie collection.
Oh yeah,
double dose of Jai Courtney.
That would be bad. That would be brutal. That's fair. He's the worst, man.
I don't know what it is about the guy. Like I guess he has abs. Like, he's masculine. He covers his accent decently well. I want to say that he got most of his gigs probably on the strength of the Chris Hemsworths, the Hemsworths of the world, where it's like, we need an Aussie. Why? Because they're fashionable right now. It's like, well, he's got abs and he kind of pug-faced. Let's give him a paycheck.
Yeah, and I feel like I don't want to be, it's not all him. I mean, I don't think he's great in any of the movies he's in, but I mean, it's just, I don't know if it's bad luck or what, but he just, like, bad movie after bad movie after bad movie. I mean, maybe if he had been in something that was good, it could have maybe upped his reputation a bit. I mean, his career could have gone in a way better direction, but he just never really had any breaks like that.
I think I saw him in an Eat 'em Up, actually. It was called Rogue, I think.
Oh,
he just kind of played a brutish like Australian like guy, and he was fine. Like, he was fine. He's usually fine. I think his agent just has it out for him or something.
Maybe, yeah.
Like, maybe he has, like, a really nasty agent who just hates the fuck out of him, but, like, gets him these roles that pay a lot of money, but it's, like, it doesn't exactly reflect well on either of their reputations or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Could be.
Could be. But anyway, that's enough of me and my Nakatomi Plaza Tower collection, Brad. Ball is to you, sir. What you got next?
Well, I think you're certainly going to win for the biggest box set. I don't have anything that can compete with that for size.
You don't have the Breaking Bad drum collection, do you?
I do have that, actually, but not here. It's in another room. But I do have that. But anyway, this one, we're going to go back, class it up a bit. We'll go back to the Criterion well. This one, now this might be a little more obscure for a lot of people out there because I'd never heard of this guy, this Joker. I'd never heard of this Joker until I bought this set. Actually, I was gifted this set. So I hope this still counts. I didn't buy it out of my own wallet, but it is in my collection. And I might butcher his name. I never looked up how you pronounce it. I think his name it's Pierre. Is it Etaix? I have no idea.
Yeah, my ex was fluent in French, and I didn't pick up any of it. so I can't help you there. Sorry.
No idea. But I didn't know who this guy was. And I just started going through his films in this collection. And he is, like I said, he's a jokester. He's a joker because these are comedies. These are some great French comedies. I know a lot of people, I've not seen any of his films, so I can't compare him, but a lot of people compare him to Jacques Tati.
Okay.
Who might be like a step above this guy in terms of like recognition. But certainly, I mean, these films came out in like the 60s, so they're not silent films, but very similar to like a Charlie Chaplin or a Buster Keaton style humor, where, you know, it's a lot of those gags where there'll be long stretches of just like visual gags. And, you know, there are times where it will almost feel like it's a silent film because like the whole scene will play out with him just like there's a short film on here. I can't remember which one it is, but it's one of the short films on here. And basically the whole thing is him trying to write a letter, and he just keeps having issues with his pen. And it's just gag after gag of him trying to write this letter, and like the pen is out of ink, so then he goes to get the ink, and the ink's got a leak in it, and so then the ink is spilling all over the floor, so then he's got to get, you know, towels, and he's trying to clean that up, and the letter gets in the ink, and, you know, it just kind of like keeps getting worse and worse and worse, and like there's hardly any dialogue in it, and it's that kind of humor. So if you're a fan of that kind of humor, this guy is great at it. Honestly, I think a lot of people say Yo-Yo is his best, from what I could tell on the interwebs. I think The Suitor, which is at least the first film of his in this set, I think it is. I think it's his first film altogether, is probably his funniest. The Suitor is very funny. I got to rewatch some of these because I was really cracking up at it. I really liked Le Grand Amour as well. I think that might have been out of his set. I'd have to check on Letterboxd. I think when I went through and just did a deep dive on this set, I think I did give that a 5 out of 5. That was the one I was like, I'm going to give that the elevation to the top. But yeah, it's some great films. Probably a lot of people have never heard of this guy. I don't know how well known he was back in the day, but it seems like he has been forgotten. And it's got pretty much, I think, all of his filmography and then a few of his shorts. And the last one, I did not watch the last movie. It's actually a documentary on, like, I want to say it's like circus performers, because I think that's where he got his start. He was like in the circus, and that's where he developed his kind of routine, and then he took it into film. But yeah, really cool set from Criterion, and just like look at what a joker, what a jokester right there.
Yeah, he looks incredibly funny just from that picture.
But you know, you got another book in here. You got some great stuff. Like,
wow,
just great stuff.
Real great package.
He kind of looks like what's his face, Jean Dujardin. Kind of looks like. Am I thinking of the right guy, Jean Dujardin? Maybe not.
Yeah, it could be. It's a look.
Yeah.
It's a look. It's one we've all seen before. You recognize it when you see it.
But if you, I mean, I don't know if these are on the Criterion channel, but if they are and you are subscribed, I would recommend checking them out. I quite liked this guy's movies, so it was a cool surprise. Just going into this not knowing anything about him and just kind of really digging what he did.
Damn, it sounds like a fantastic gift. Family member give it to you or something?
I'll just say she's not involved in my life anymore.
She's not in the picture.
But I mean, thanks for that. It was a great gift. I mean, if she's out there, I mean, I know she's out there, but I mean, thanks. It was, I mean, I still have that. I'm not getting rid of that.
I'm sorry, Brad. I didn't mean to peel back some loose scabs there.
It's okay, man.
It's all right. I'm fine.
Is it hot in here?
Gonna be a shitty night at Brad's house. Is he strictly an actor? Or is he also a director?
I believe he directed all of the films.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
And I didn't catch what time period, like 60s, 70s?
Yeah, these were mostly in the 60s. Yep.
That sounds right.
And then the documentary was 71, but yeah, most of them came out through the 60s.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. I mean, I'm a sucker for physical comedy, like any kind of mime type stuff, or just like you said, the exercise of that person trying to draft a letter and having everything go wrong. It actually brings to mind, and this is a very lowbrow example of something, as we're talking about a Criterion collection, reminded me of like Ernest or something.
Yeah, yeah.
like the comedic stylings of the classically trained Jim Varney and his Ernest P. Worrell character, because if memory serves, there's actually a gag in Ernest Goes to Jail, which is the best Ernest film. Let's not mince words. Ernest Goes to Jail is top tier Ernest.
I have not seen that one. I gotta check it out.
Oh, you gotta check it out, Brad. Don't waste your time with what was it? Ernest Saves Christmas is okay.
Yeah, it was okay. I like
Ernest
that one.
Goes to Africa.
I don't even think.
I can't. Slam Dunk Ernest is also kind of a.
I gotta go through and watch all these because. I do like Jim Varney. I think he's pretty funny. He's talented.
He's incredibly talented. Like, I've seen him do like Shakespeare, and
yeah,
they've always said that you have to be a good actor to also be a comedic actor. Like, comedy's usually advertised as the most difficult thing to do as an actor, and I believe it because that's part of me wants to say that's part of why you see actors like Robert De Niro and Meryl Streep do some like weird comedy films every now and again. Like, if you think about like all the other things they've done in their filmography, it's like, well, if you think about it from that perspective, asking them to be funny actually is a stretch. Like, in terms of reaching for like a challenge, like striving for challenges as an actor, it's like, actually it seems easy, but if you look at their track record, it's like, this is probably really hard and intimidating. Like, especially Meryl Streep. Like, I don't know if she actually sung in Mamma Mia, but I don't know if she'd done a musical up till then. And, doing choreographed dance and stuff. But, Jim Varney was fantastic. But going back to Ernest Goes to Jail, there's a gag where he's serving as like a jury member for a trial. And he's chewing on a pen and he ends up biting the ink in it. And it just starts pouring out of his mouth, and just the camera holds on him, and just ink is, and he's got like tissue, and he's just like
that sounds amazing.
And he's like looking at the people sitting next to him, like trying to pretend like, oh, I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't see any ink. It's fine.
Yeah.
And it's great. Like, I don't care who you are. It's like that's why guys like Jackie Chan were able to transcend national borders with their success as actors, is because just the physical act of comedy transcends language.
Yeah,
and
Mr. Bean also is a
Bean,
good
absolutely
somewhat modern example. Yeah.
No, Mr. Bean was fantastic. Rowan Atkinson, it was great, but Mr. Bean in particular, yes, that crosses language boundaries. Like, it's just, I don't care who you are or where you're from. That's fucking funny.
Yeah.
But
can't wait until Criterion puts out the Ernest box set. That's gonna be great.
Oh, I would be ecstatic. Like,
I would buy
that day one.
You hear us, Criterion? You will have our money.
Give it time, Brad. Give it time. They'll run out of legit good movies, and they'll be like, "What else we got? What else?" Ernest. We haven't put out an Ernest box. Yeah, it'll happen, Brad. Fingers crossed. It'll happen. But yeah, I will have to do my best to keep that one in mind, because that sounds right up my alley. It sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'll have to tell Kyle too, because I think he might still have his Criterion Collection channel, Criterion Channel subscription.
Yeah. Check out and see if they're on there for sure.
Okay, sounds good. Well, let's bounce to something lowbrow. That seems to be the rhythm of this episode. Brad brings the class. I bring the large and dumb.
Hey, I tried to get it a little trashy with the Halloween collection. That's mostly trashy.
This is absurdly large, and I kind of regret purchasing it because it was at a time when 4K was but a twinkle in someone's eye. That wasn't me. This is the Dark Knight Trilogy box set. This is the obscenely large limited edition number 31,000 something or other out of 141,000. So there's a lot of these fuckers out there. It's not like it's not like it's rare or anything. That's not really why I bought it, but it comes with a big old booklet and like a Hot Wheel of the tumbler. And it's kind of a pain in the fucking ass to pull the discs out of, because it comes in one of those here, in fact, I'll just open it up. Oh yeah, and it comes with a letter from Christopher Nolan saying, "Thank you for spending too much money on something big and stupid." But yeah, all the movies are housed in one of these guys, kind of similar to the James Bond collection, which you can actually see in the background up there. And these are awful to fudge fingers can't.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that sort of style
I'm not
packaging.
a fan of that either.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does come with like a production photo book and a Hot Wheel.
It's a nice set. I mean, it's big, but it's nice.
I'm not entirely positive why I bought it. I think it was the timing, where I didn't even know what it was. I just had caught wind of the fact that, yes, the Dark Knight films are coming out in a collected format, but there's a different collected format that's coming out at some point. It's kind of similar to, like, was it The Lord of the Rings, where the extended editions came out after the fact, if memory serves. And I don't like the idea of double dipping. So it's like, I'm only going to buy these movies fucking once, although I did buy DVDs of Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. Shut the fuck up. But I think my mindset, and this was a long enough time ago that I actually can't quite remember. I think my mindset was I was going to hold out hope that the other collection was going to be superior in some fashion. Unfortunately, at that time, I wasn't quite as aware of Christopher Nolan's habits as a director, in that he really doesn't give a shit about special features. He treats his films like magic tricks. There's a reason he made The Prestige. He doesn't like to tell you how the thing was made. He doesn't like to take you on a tour through the sausage factory. He just wants you to watch the movie on a big fucking screen and shut up. So yeah, this was a little bit of a waste on my part, but I waited so long for it that I was like, I gotta get it. Like I deprived myself of owning these films long enough that I just pulled the trigger on it.
Let me, real quick, you keep talking. I'm going to grab my version of those films for comparison.
Okay. Yeah.
This won't be an official entry, but just for comparison's sake.
Yeah,
now that we've got a video element going on here.
Yeah, folks at home, if you're not aware, I actually have a podcast called Catching Up on Cinema. You are listening to it right now, but we actually did a deep dive on the Batman film series, and we covered the Nolan films extensively. So if you want any details about those, go ahead and pull up one of those episodes. You'll probably have a good time with it. But it looks like Brad has his boxed version of it. It's a handsome package. It has the whole trilogy.
I was kind of just curious because I haven't watched these in a long time. I kind of forgot what this box set looked like, but it's one of these that opens up in like a... So it's only 3 foldable things that fold out into each other, so not too many. But yeah, it's pretty good. It's got a booklet as well. I mean, yours is definitely... it's a handsomer package, but you've got the size to deal with as well.
Yeah, I think I would have preferred to have yours. Like I said, I was holding out hope for additional special features rather than a fucking Hot Wheel.
Yeah.
Which I could not give two shits about. I have a lot of stupid collectibles. Hot Wheels are not among them. So yeah, this was a bit of a blunder on my part, but it's big, it's dumb, but fortunately it does house some mostly very good films. I very much enjoy the Nolan Batman films. I even defend The Dark Knight Rises quite frequently, honestly. It's not a perfect film. It's certainly not the best in the series, but it has a lot of things that I'm very happy that we actually got to see realized on film, like Bane being chief among them. Like a totally different rendition of the character than was featured in the comics that I was born in. But I was very happy that we finally got to see that character on film, and all I needed for the film to be good in my book, and I say this a lot about certain movies, is like all I needed was for that fist fight in the middle of the film to be good, and it was good enough that I was like, okay, doesn't matter what happens with the rest of the movie. I got what I paid for, what the trailers were promising me, and I can't ask for much more than that. And it's a mess. Like it really doesn't end the trilogy in a fantastic way, but it does end it. And I think as time moves forward, like over the course of this episode, we talked about franchises like getting a little bit long in the tooth, like Ninja Turtles and Halloween and stuff, and whatnot. I think as time moves forward, endings are going to be something that we all start to get very nostalgic for, because we're robbed of them so often these days. Mm-hmm. There's that trailer line from the most recent Star Wars movies, I think, and I think they used it to advertise Disney Plus, where it's almost like a warning, like it feels like a threat, where it's like no one's ever really gone. It's like, oh fuck, they're not lying. like the movie industry works by comic book logic now, where it's like, oh, like Uncle Ben is the only guy who's allowed to stay dead forever. Like everyone else gets to come back.
Yeah, who was it? Is it Peter Cushing they brought back for Rogue One? Is that right? Yeah.
And that's where we're at, Brad. We're bringing people back from the dead, man.
Slippery slope.
Slippery indeed. Yeah, for sure. I expect we're going to be seeing quite a bit more of that. But yeah, when it comes to the Dark Knight films, I'm just glad that they closed the book. Like I do not see them going back to that, even with all the talk of multiverses and whatnot, which coincidentally both the MCU and the DCU EU are both doing multiverse concepts parallel to each other. It's kind of amazing how that pans out. But even with all the talk of that, I don't think that they're going to touch the Nolan Batman movies. I don't think he would let them. Like, he'd probably be very, very vocal about that if Warner Brothers tried to do something like that.
Although, I mean, him and Warner Brothers are kind of on the outs right now.
Yeah,
so.
After the HBO Max thing, he was pretty vocal, and he said some nasty stuff. He bit the hand that feeds him.
He's pissed
pretty harshly. Yeah. So yeah, maybe you're right, Brad, but it would make me sad to see Christian Bale or even like Gary Oldman as Commissioner Gordon show up in the Flash movie. Fucking Ezra Miller headlining a Flash. No, we don't need that. But that would actually make me sad to see like Michael Caine or Gary Oldman as one of those characters in a non-Nolan related Batman property. That would just feel like sitting in barf.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's enough about Batman. Seems like I can't ever get away from Batman. But what you got, Brad? What's next?
Let's go with one. I think I've showed this off to you before, but, we're going box sets. I got to bring up this one. This one was put out by Wellgo, and it is the Phantasm collection, which, I think it was the hype for this I got from Blu-ray.com. Blu-ray.com in the forums, people were getting hyped for this set. And I actually bought this at FYE for it was only like $60 or something. It was a steal. And I remember people online, it was kind of almost hard to get, or it was just more expensive. Like people were kind of like freaking out, scrambling for this thing. And I go into my local FYE, and they're like, "Yeah, we've got 10 copies, and it's on sale for $63." I'm like, "Shit, well, I'm gonna get one then, I guess." Had never watched the Phantasm movies, but I had heard real good things about the first one, and little bit I'd seen of it, I was very intrigued. And I gotta say, after watching 4 out of the 5 movies, I can say that no disrespect, but I'm not a fan. I do think the first one, it's got its moments, but the second one is not good at all. Like they don't even get progressively worse. Like the third one, I remember kind of liking a little bit more than the second one, but the fourth one is pretty hot garbage. And the fifth one, what I've seen, it's at least visually looks like hot garbage, because I mean it just is like, it came out in 2016 and it's like so low budget and very weird set, or collect like series, I guess. But the set itself, I think, is kind of how things need to be done. I mean, individual clear cases. I love how it's the ball and the one, the Roman numeral 1 looks great. I mean, everything about it it's an awesome set. I mean, we're even talking reversible artwork in here. I mean, they really went all out on this. And I don't know that many Well-Go discs or anything. I don't even know if they've done anything quite at this level since, but they really outdid themselves with this set, and I was real pumped to buy it and put it in my collection. I just wish I liked the movies more, or liked them at all, I guess. But what can you do, right? What can you do? It was still worth the $63. Maybe one day. See, I didn't watch the fifth one. That's how bad. Like it was like I had one more to go and I didn't even finish it. So now I got to start it all over to get to the fifth one, which is going to be a pain, but I'll do it eventually.
Eventually. Yeah, I haven't seen any of the Phantasm films. I know them by reputation, of course. First one looked like trippy, like a head trip. Like this is made by Dream Logic. Like
yeah.
Good luck getting on board with the vision of the director here. But isn't that like a common thing between all the movies? Like, isn't it like at least one cast member, like a supporting player, and the director is the same for all of them?
I want to say he didn't actually direct every single one, but he's like at least involved in, like, he's a producer on every one, or he wrote. He's involved in every one. Like I think somebody else might have directed like 1 or 2 of them.
That sounds more right than what I was thinking. So it's kind of similar to like Child's Play, where we have a guiding hand, like a shepherd for the franchise. I dig that, actually, when you have like that one commanding voice that is kind of guiding the franchise into the later years of its existence. I saw some
the last one actually that he didn't direct, if I'm reading this right. So.
Oh shit! I mean, he found his thing, I guess. I guess only he understands it, but it has a fan base. I don't think they're particularly loud. But they, like, I'm sure each and every one of them has that box set.
Yeah, they're loud on Blu-ray.com. I'll tell you that much.
Okay. I do know it has a fan base. I'm not among them because I haven't seen it, but I did see some footage from that fifth one, and youch, that looked pretty awful, just from a visual standpoint.
And one little thing. I mean, this is real small critique of this set, but I do have to say, very minor. But Scream Factory actually, before this set came out, did put out the second one on disc. So if you check out the spines here, you got Well-Go, then Scream,
no.
Well-Go, Well-Go, Well-Go.
Oh no,
So-
that doesn't look great.
Yeah, just a minor. Like, and to be fair, I mean, when it's on the shelf, that's how I have it facing out. So you don't even have to out of sight, out of mind.
Well, I mean, they had to get paid. I'm sure it was like a duel for the licensing.
Yeah.
But yeah, Well-Go is an interesting distributor, because I know them because they put out like all the Asian action films, like mostly Chinese and Korean stuff, and a few Japanese movies here and there.
Yeah.
I didn't know that they branched out into horror and stuff, especially that kind of cult horror. But in terms of licenses to grab, like especially licenses that you can put in a collectible box set like that, that's very attractive to people who are, rabid fans of it, that's smart business, honestly. And I think they're doing really well because they started their own streaming service called Haya. I've advertised them before. I believe Wellgo owns it, or at least operates it or something. And they're also printing the discs of the films that are screened on that service. So they must be doing pretty well. But like I said, I didn't know they were doing horror. I don't know that I'll ever get around to watching the Phantasm films. I might look up the soundtrack at some point. I heard some good things about that. But mostly I've just stuck to YouTube reviews and summaries of them rather than watching the whole film, just because I found it more enjoyable to go about things that way. I don't know if you're familiar with I think he's a Canadian YouTuber, Brandon Tenold. He does horror movie reviews, mostly schlock horror movies and stuff. He covered a couple of the Phantasm movies, and I got a couple laughs out of that. So it's if that's the extent of my relationship with Phantasm, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. I'm just scrolling through Wellgo's website, and like you said, definitely a lot more martial arts films. Not a lot of horror films on here besides Phantasm. So kind of an interesting, but they probably made good money on it, honestly. So
like I said, in terms of licenses to grab, I'm sure the asking price wasn't super high, and if you put it in a nice package like that, you're probably going to make your money back.
Yeah.
So they're doing fine, and I guess I support them because I certainly own a lot of their products.
Yep.
Speaking of which, I wasn't going to bring this one up, but I may as well because you gave me a perfect segue. I have my own Wellgo box set here, and that would be it looks like it's faux canvas material box set of the Ip Man 4 film collection. This is a extraordinarily handsome box. It's
that
also
nice.
Yeah, it's embossed.
That's good.
And it has, you can't quite see it on the camera, but it has canvas material. And it has all 4 Ip Man films, the Wilson Yip and Donnie Yen films on 4K. I want to say there's also a Blu-ray version of this, but this is the 4K edition, and it comes with a little booklet here, and a poster, and all 4 films on UHD, and all of them have Wellgo on the logo as opposed to Scream Factory.
Oh boy.
I have bought these films probably 3 or 4 times, honestly. Originally on bootleg DVD, then I moved up to, not bootleg, Hong Kong DVD, legitimate Hong Kong DVDs, all region with English subtitles, and then I upgraded to Blu-rays, which I still have, and then I actually bought Ip Man 4 on 4K via Wellgo, individually, and then they announced this box set for a very, very, very nice price, and I was like, well, fuck, now I'm gonna have an extra disc laying around. Not the worst thing in the world, because Wellgo usually doesn't overprice their discs, but none of these movies is especially stunning on 4K. Even the 4th one, which just came out, first 2 movies, if memory serves, actually look kind of raggedy. It may have had something to do with the way they were filmed, honestly, because they do not look very good on 4K. 4th one has a problem where I think I talked about this with you before, Brad, where Donnie Yen, he's in his 50s now, folks, and also he's smart. He's a filmmaker in addition to being a martial artist / actor. He uses stunt doubles pretty liberally, honestly. And a problem with the 4th film on 4K is that they decided to do this thing where they superimpose his face onto a different actor's body. So the CGI just it sticks out like a sore thumb on your TV screen. In the theater, not so much. I did actually get to see the movie in the theater. But at home, it's like, ooh, that's not Donnie. It's like, ooh, that's not Donnie either. It's kind of like watching the Burly Brawl from Matrix Reloaded and pointing to all the agents who aren't Hugo Weaving. It's like, That's not Hugo. That's not Hugo. That's totally not Hugo. That's a cartoon. But yeah, this is a very handsome package. Seems like when it comes to box sets, I don't know that Well-Go puts out that many of them, but they seem to have a knack for it. So maybe keep an eye out because they're, like I said, like unusually cheap as well.
How much did that run you, if you don't mind me asking?
Less than 50.
Whew, that's pretty good.
Yeah, for 4K discs and a book and a poster and a nice box. It was cheap. Like straight up just cheap.
Yeah.
I feel like I did something wrong, Brad, but have you seen any of these Ip Man films?
No, I keep meaning to. I still haven't. I mean, honestly, was that box set limited edition? Because that would look good on the shelf, I gotta say.
No, it says complete collection. I don't think it's limited in any fashion.
I mean, what does it say? I'm more likely to buy them all on 4K before I watch them rather than like sampling them and making sure I actually like it.
Well, I mean, to be perfectly honest, as far as I understand, a big reason why the Mon series took off in this country was because of Netflix. Honestly,
Yeah, that's where I first saw it.
Yeah,
Well, I didn't watch it, but where I saw it on there,
Yeah, I'm sure they're still widely available on many streaming services, so you don't need to spend money on it. But I would recommend checking them out though. They have that Hong Kong melodrama to them that if you're in the mood for that particular flavor, along with some really high quality martial arts, you'll have a good time. Part of the attraction for me to these films was always the fact that the spectacle came in the form of martial arts as opposed to like other things like that's something that's always difficult when it comes to trying to seek out and consume movies of this nature, for me anyway, is that like sometimes you end up in a situation where you take what you can get, where it's like when it comes to martial arts on film in American cinema these days, I still show up for Fast and Furious movies on the off chance that punches will be thrown in anger, hopefully over the course of a couple-minute action scene. They don't really seem terribly interested in doing that anymore, probably because everyone in that cast is a non-martial artist, and well, aside from like Jason Statham, but and they're like almost 50 by now. But like when you hit that sweet spot, like in Fast 5 and 6 and 7, there was a place for that, and they still kind of advertise these movies with the promise of that, although it seems like they've strayed away from that at some point. But what I mean to say is, instead of like car chases and gunfights and stuff, that's not why you pay to see an Ip Man film. You pay to see people punch each other. And so when it comes to those scenes, the filmmaker Wilson Yip knows well enough to just like lock things down and be like, well, we're not going to jump away from the scene for the next 5 minutes. That's what the people paid to see. We're going to give it to them. And instead of cutting from Jet Li in a Fight Club, and then cutting to DMX riding an ATV through the streets of downtown, instead we're just going to focus on Jet Li in the Fight Club. I always love that about Cradle to the Grave. That's like, have you seen that one, Brad?
I've never seen it, no.
Okay, well, Cradle
Definitely
to the Grave,
on my list of shame, though, for sure.
Cradle to the Grave is one of those, I like to call it the Kung Fu Hip-Hop connection films, where in the late 90s and early 2000s, there was a subgenre that emerged that I think almost all the films were directed by the same guy, where it was, we're going to take martial arts and smash it together with hip-hop. So we had Romeo Must Die, we had Exit Wounds, and we had Cradle to the Grave. And Cradle to the Grave has a sequence that I always point to as being like an example of how not to edit two action scenes parallel to each other.
Yeah.
And it's Jet Li fighting in an entire cage full of like mixed martial artists, including Tito Ortiz and like Chuck Liddell, like the biggest name guys of their day. And then we keep cutting back and forth between like Anthony Anderson doing like fat guy fall down humor and DMX casually riding an ATV. It's like, one of these things is so much more interesting than the other two, but we have to cut back and forth between all of it. It ends up turning into a jumbled mess. Anyway.
You guys should make that genre, that hip-hop martial art genre, that should be your next masterclass.
I
just need to come up with one more.
I don't think Kyle would let me. I think Kyle would walk out on the show if I suggested that. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Kung Fu Hip Hop Connection, though. Maybe I'll have to do a solo series on that.
Yeah, I guess you could just dedicate a whole month to it. It doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to have the. I just mostly said masterclass to give it a little prestige. But yeah, just give it a whole month, man.
Kung Fu Hip Hop Connection month. Like I said, if I propose that, I'm pretty sure Kyle would just like block me on his cell phone and just be like, "Fuck this guy, I'm out."
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't do it. I couldn't watch all those in
No,
one month.
I don't
God.
think anybody but me has the stamina to subject themselves to that much DMX riding that many
Yeah.
ATVs. Although Anthony Anderson is pretty fucking funny in Romeo
I like
Must
him.
Die.
Yeah.
Put
Yeah.
these nuts in your mouth is the best part that came out of that movie. Put these nuts in your mouth. Put the nuts in your mouth. Yeah, look that up on YouTube.
I gotta check that out. I guess I gotta
Just-
check
just
out. Yeah.
Put these nuts in your mouth. Hopefully you don't find something obscene.
Yeah, I gotta watch where I type that in at. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was mine. I talked about the movie a little bit, but Brad, what do you got next?
All right. Well, speaking of masterclass, I think you guys covered this franchise. I would not, and I feel like we brought this up on another episode. I would not be surprised if this is in your pile right now. I don't know. I gave you plenty of chances to pull it out as one of your picks. I'm going in. I'm grabbing mine. The Alien Anthology. Yeah. Did you guys cover the whole, or at least the first four, right?
We actually covered everything but Prometheus.
Oh, okay. Yes,
we did end up covering Covenant after the fact.
Yeah.
But Prometheus is something, folks at home, if you're not aware, that it's kind of a subject of debate amongst myself, Kyle, and Brad from the Cinema Speak podcast. One of these days, Alice, I'd like to have you back on the show, Brad, so we can, all three of us, do a review of Prometheus, because it's certainly worth talking about.
Yeah.
And unlike some people, I actually do value hearing other people's perspectives on things. So I think it would be a lot of fun for us all to have a chat about that one.
Yeah, I'm always down for a rewatch of that, so I'd be into that for sure. But this does not include Prometheus. It's just the first four Alien films. But I gotta say, this coming from just this is just from Fox put this out. It's not like a boutique company put this out. In terms of like big studio box set collections, I don't know if you can get much better than this. This is such a great package. It's kind of like a book style. And just look how handsome. Now, I will admit, it's got the thing. I'm again not crazy about that kind of minor complaint, but I mean, look how beautiful this is. It really is just a handsome package. And I do believe each film contains both like the original theatrical, and then there's director's cuts or what have you, whatever they call them. I think there's 2 cuts for each movie. Like Alien 3, it's not a director's cut. Do they call it a director's cut?
I don't think they do. As far as I know, David Fincher divorced himself from that property.
Yeah.
He doesn't consider it his own film. But it is like an alternative cut where the major difference is the origin of the alien. It's different animal. In
Okay.
theatrical cut, the chest burster comes out of a dog. It's a very traumatic scene for a friend of mine.
Yeah.
He was raised in a household with a dog, and that scene in particular just ruined him. The alternative cut, though, comes from like a water buffalo or something, or a yak.
Really? Oh.
Yeah. So they filmed additional scenes for it, as far as I recall.
Don't remember what version I've seen. That's the problem. Like, I do like multiple versions, but like, I never know which ones I've most recently watched. I can never remember the differences. That is one thing where, especially if it's like, there's not too many major differences. It's always like, well, which one do I watch? I mean, whatever. But
yeah, if memory serves, the alternative cut also removed the bit where the chest burster comes out of Ripley as she's falling.
okay.
I seem to remember that being excised from that one.
I'm pretty sure then I've seen the version that is in, because I remember that. So
Okay, because the theatrical cut, it's a cheesy moment for sure, but
Yeah.
it's shocking. Where it's like, oh, she's falling, and her chest exploded. It's like, she's gonna die twice.
I gotta say, like, I don't want to start calling people out here, but why not? Like, listen, I love David Fincher, and I know it's well documented the issues he had with that film, But the whole thing where these directors they get to this A-list status, and then they go back and say, no, that wasn't my movie, that doesn't count. And it's like, listen, bud, listen. I know that without that movie, and I would cut Mank too. Mank, I wasn't crazy about Mank, but before Mank, and if you cut that movie out, I mean, this guy's batting like 1,000. Like this guy, even Benjamin Button, I think is a good movie. Like this guy's like hit after hit after. So he's like, listen, he's looking back and he's like, I had some issues with making that film. That's the the dud on my filmography. That is the splotch that is just like the stain on my Mona Lisa of films. He's like, I just got to start saying it's not mine. I don't count it, because then everybody will listen to me and they won't count it either, and then I will be a perfect director. I feel like, I mean, I've been seeing people do this, and like, I don't know, like James Cameron, even, I mean, Piranha 2, he's cut. Not my movie. It's cut. It's cut. I'm sure there's other examples, but a lot of people just you gotta acknowledge that first movie. Sorry, bud, you had to start somewhere. It's your movie. Your name's on it.
Yeah.
If I turn in a paper in college and I just stole somebody else's paper but put my name on it and that grade goes into my grade, that was my paper I turned in. It doesn't matter,
It's your permanent record, Brad.
Sorry, David.
Record.
Sorry. It's your
Sorry,
movie.
Dave.
Sorry, bud.
You fucked up. It's okay. Yeah. Like, you got better. No, I think he has the advantage of having disowned the film much earlier than a lot of the other people. Like he was pretty vocal about it, I think, pretty early on. And it is documented. It's extensively documented how pushed around he was on that production. Like the studio really did kind of give him the runaround and kind of fuck with his baby a little bit. So I agree with you, but at the same time, it's like if you're gonna try to play that game, he played it right. Like he played it very smooth.
He did. He did, but you can't. It's like you can't say Seven was his first film. Like
no,
you just
it
can't
wasn't.
do
It wasn't.
Yeah, exactly. So that's all. Would he say that? Like if we asked him what was your first movie, would he say Seven?
He might.
See, sorry, David. No, it's not. Because if that's the case, I mean, we might be talking one of the greatest debut films of all time. But sorry, bud, you can't do it. Can't do it.
God, Brad, I'm thinking of you as a young Joe Pesci from My Cousin Vinny. It's like the story that Ralph Macchio tells about him harassing the magician. It's like, poor David Fincher is trying to give a speech. He's standing up on the stage behind a podium. He's talking about the wonders of filmmaking, and all you can hear is Brad saying, "You're a big fat phony." Bullshit, Dave. Your first film was Alien 3.
Listen, somebody's got to call out these famous directors, and I guess it has to be me. I mean, I love the guy.
You.
Listen, David, I'd rather watch Alien 3 than Mank. Sorry. I would rather rewatch Alien 3 than Mank. Mank, listen, bud, it just didn't work. I'm sorry. If there's any film you should be cutting, it's Mank.
Jeez, Brad. Spitting hot fire.
Sorry.
Got the hot takes today.
It's got to be said.
Man, you've had so many hot takes the past couple months.
Well, I mean, especially now that there's a video element, I mean, we got to keep dropping it. I mean, we got to drop those hot takes.
Yeah, that's right. That's how we get viewers and whatnot.
Get those numbers up.
But yeah, folks at home, if you want to check out our Alien Masterclass, we did cover all the films in the series. They're all pretty great in their own way. Even Alien Resurrection, it's a kind of a goofy, busted movie in a lot of ways, but from just a pure audio-visual standpoint, it's pretty handsomely disgusting. It's like it is disgusting. Don't get me wrong. There are some scenes in that are still a little bit hard to watch, much like the ending of like Akira or something, like grotesque in that sort of way. But just the artistry and like the production design and the lighting and stuff and the makeup effects in particular, it's a pretty awesome movie in that way. Even if like the characters and the tone are just all over the place. But yeah, I actually do have the same box set, and I think Kyle does too, actually. And it is worthy of being on anyone's shelf. It really is like a prime example of like a big studio box set done right.
Yep.
because it gives you
Yeah.
everything you could ask for and more, and it looks handsome on your shelf.
It is a good one. The spine looks great.
Oh yeah, no, it looks fantastic. I like that one quite a bit, and in fact, I'm this close to putting on Aliens again. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with me, but for some reason, I've had Aliens on the brain, and I might have to watch it again.
Yeah. It's one of those movies. You can just put it on anytime.
Man, you really can. That's the problem. It's too good. It's too good, Brad. But let's see. What do I got next? So this one should be absolutely gorgeous, but unfortunately I got it at a secondhand store. I don't know if it's still expensive, but at the time its price was climbing very rapidly. And yeah, I got this at a Half Price Books that unfortunately closed down. It makes me very sad because that used to be like my happy place. I would just go there, hang out in the comic book and the movie section, and usually walk away with something nice. But like I said, in its day, this probably looked phenomenal, but it is beat to shit. It doesn't smell very good.
Oh boy.
But I have it, and I didn't pay too much for it. This would be the Neon Genesis Evangelion Perfect Collection on DVD. And here you have the Eva 01 face, kind of embossed with the red highlights on the eyes, and then the Nerve logo, and then all of the individual discs that fit into the box. It's the entire 8-disc collection. I believe it's 25 episodes, and I own the movie, The End of Evangelion, separately. Doesn't have space for it, but there's also one more disc floating around out there. This is from ADV Films. If you're not, are you familiar with them at all, Brad?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, I wouldn't expect you to be. They specialize in anime, and I don't know if they're a major player these days. In the early 2000s, they were like one of the big distributors of anime in this country, but I think they've been swallowed up by some of the other big places, like was it Discotek and Funimation's like the juggernaut because of Dragon Ball and stuff. But ADV in its day used to be a big deal. But there's one other disc that I don't have. It's Death and Rebirth, which I've seen. As far as I recall, it's just like a compilation of the last couple episodes of the series. It's like a clip show, basically. It's like I have the thing. I don't need it. But anyway, it's the presentation of the discs is fine. It's standard definition, unfortunately, but comes with the caveat being that I don't know if this has been ever released in the States in HD. It very recently, like within the past year, came to Netflix in the US, which obviously would be HD to some degree. But I don't think any physical version of the series exists in HD in this country.
Hey, you're good then. You're good. There's no judgment on my end then.
Yeah, I'm curious what the price is on this these days, because like the second I'm sure the second it gets licensed and distributed in HD in this country, the price will just like bottom the fuck out. But the series is an interesting one. I've brought it up before on the show. I want to say it may have like a similar to a lot of the other properties I brought up today. It may have a little bit of a you had to have been there quality to it, where this came out I think in like 1998, and I was exposed to it around that time as well. So I was like 11 or 12 years old. It's perfect timing for me to get like overly involved with a series like this, and much like the Christopher Nolan Batman series, it has quite a few warts to it. It hits many speed bumps, but on the whole, it's kind of a special project. It's kind of a special product. Like there's really nothing else like it. It has a whole host of imitators out there, and it's unfortunately one of those series that I can't really explain to anyone. Because I don't think anyone actually really 100% understands it. Like, if you've ever even glanced at the Wikipedia for the series, it's a nightmare. It's a total fucking nightmare.
What's the name of it one more time?
Neon Genesis Evangelion. Evangelion.
Let's see here. Yeah, you might want to check eBay here. You might some good prices here for what you got there.
Well, it's beat to shit, so
yeah. I mean, these ones look a little nicer, but this one, I'm assuming it's the same box set. I mean, $230. What they're asking for it?
Oh.
Yeah. Now that's not sold.
Now that we have video, Brad, I can do the Antonio Banderas. Ooh. Ooh.
Let's see. I gotta find... Okay, here we go. Sold items. Let's see. Okay, sold were $100.
Okay,
well, 200. No, yeah. Yeah, 200. I'd say you're going up to 225. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I appreciate you doing the legwork. Now that we have video, maybe that's more interesting for people to listen to / watch. But yeah, Brad, I would, if you're in the mood for something targeted at adolescent audiences that has giant robots and really like a lot of navel gazing, like really heady concepts that aren't really ever really explained to you. Like if you're in the mood for something like that, maybe check it out, because this is one of those series that I don't think I'll ever 100% understand it, but it just has a feel to it that it got me at exactly the right time in my life, such that it's very difficult for me to point my finger at it and straight up call it bad. It's like, no, it has so much merit to it. It's you just don't understand. Neither do I, but but I understand it just a little bit more than you. But yeah, like I said, it totally could just be like a you had to have been there thing, honestly. I'm sure an equivalent to the series comes out every few years or so. Only difference is I'm not paying attention anymore. So, but yeah, this was that for me in middle school. It was a big fucking deal. I was pretty obsessed with it for a minute there.
Yeah. Well, it's got a special place in your heart. I mean,
it does. It does. Such that I've like considered trying to subject my girlfriend to it and see if she can stomach it. I don't think she can. It's just like she has a thing where like she doesn't like when things aren't explained. Like she gets kind of upset when a movie tries to brush past like really important details. I'm like, it's like you need to get over that, because like that's most of the things that I watch. Like just deal with it. It's like, nah, it's not gonna fly.
Yeah, we got to get both of our girlfriends in a room together, because I bet you they'd have a lot in common to talk about between dating the two of us and being subjected to things they aren't interested in.
I'm sure they'd be able to swap a lot of war stories. It would be like the scene in Jaws where they're showing each other their scars.
Yeah,
except they'd be talking about shit-ass movies that their boyfriends have made.
He made you watch what? Oh yeah, I've been in that way. I've been there before. Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
Transformers the movie was screened at one point. She didn't make it all the way through, but I tried. I swing and a miss.
All you can do is try. All you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's enough out of me and Evangelion. How about you, Brad? What you got next?
Yeah, want to go? What do you say? One more, maybe?
Sure.
Yeah, I think I'll end on this one at least.
Okay.
Because the other ones are either not that exciting, I've either already covered, or I haven't watched any of the movies in the collection. So I'll end with this one. It's not like the most handsome set, I'll be honest, but I do kind of like these films, and I've seen them all, so I can at least say that. It is the REC collection, REC, the found footage films, which the first REC I'd seen quite a while ago. Really liked it. Of course, it was remade in the U.S. Because this is is it
Spanish, right?
Is it Spanish or is it from Mexico? I think it's Spanish. Yeah. Really awesome found footage movie. Really intense. Really well done. And just, the differences between this and the American remake. Small differences, but they really do make a difference. Like the ending of this one, way more effective, way creepier. The design of the sort of creature at the end, it's just way better. So I really liked this one when I saw it a long time ago. Kept waiting for a North American Blu-ray release of it, and then finally Scream Factory put out not just that, but the whole REC franchise, including REC 2, REC 3 Genesis, and REC 4 Apocalypse. And I do like Rec 2. I had seen Rec 2, actually. I had seen Rec 2 as well. Rec 2 is good. It's a kind of a little bit similar to Halloween 2, where it's just like picks up right where the first one ended. Same building and everything. It's a bit of just like going over the same ground, but it is still very effective. And I do believe it is the same directing team from the first one. And then the third and fourth one go a little off the rails. I think it's the directors from the first two. The first two are directed by a pair. And then, the first two are directed by a pair. And then they each made, one of them made 3 and 4. So kind of interesting how it's, they've kind of all been involved in some way through the franchise. But yeah, it's a fun franchise for sure. If you're a fan of zombie films, I would definitely recommend the first one for sure. It's a great movie, probably one of the best horror movies from that decade, I would say, like the 2000 to 2010 or whatever. And yeah, it's, the set is not like amazing or anything. It's kind of just like, Blu-ray cases, outer hard box, but it gets the job done. And I could definitely see me, even the third and fourth one, which I didn't love, I could see myself going back and revisiting those, because I kind of mostly like the fourth one. I don't even remember. I really don't remember anything about the fourth one. It's on a boat. That's all I remember. The third one, I at least remember it's at a wedding, which is kind of fun. But yeah, it's a fun little franchise, and I'm glad to own them all for sure.
Wow, I have never actually seen one of those movies front to back. I think I saw the first act of the first one, but unfortunately I didn't get a chance to finish it. And funny enough, I used to have this really bad habit, and maybe I still do, of getting my friends really hyped for movies that I was hyped about, and then they end up seeing the movie way before I do. And it was always very embarrassing, but it has happened to me so many times in my life, and that happened with Rec 2.
Okay.
Where I think it was via Twitch Film, which has rebranded. I don't remember what to, but I think I caught the trailer for it through that website back in the day, and I showed it to a good friend of mine, and he was like, "Oh fuck, I'm gonna see this!" Like, he was super psyched for it, because it looked like The Raid, but shot from perspective involving like a SWAT team going into a tenement building. And I was like, this is amazing. Like, the trailer for it was incredible. And I think The Raid actually had come out not too long before or after that. But and actually I had the same situation happen with The Raid, where I had the same friend, I showed him the trailer for that. I was super hyped for it. He was too. He ended up seeing it like a few years before I did.
Oh, really?
Even though I caught wind of it way before him. It just always happens that way with me. But yeah, I always liked the concept. It looked really solid. I didn't realize that the series had continued on that long.
Yeah.
The one at the wedding, that I feel like there's a lot of possibilities for that. I don't know if the movie actually executes on any of that, but on paper that's like, ooh, that's novel.
I will say I just looked up my Letterboxd ratings, and I did like the third one more than the fourth. I gave the third one a 2.5, and I gave the fourth one a 2. So there you go.
So descending order.
They just get progressively worse, I guess. Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing they're done, I guess, or at least it seems like they're done. Totally unrelated. Well, tangentially related, maybe. There was a trailer I saw on like a DVD a long time ago. I don't know what the movie's called, but you have a more extensive background with horror than I do, Brad. And I think it's kind of zombie related, so I guess it's kind of connected to Rec. Maybe you can sound it out from this loose description. But
okay.
The trailer was a found footage film, so it looks like it's shot from perspective using like phones or just like someone's POV basically. And it's like two buddies, and I think they like go on a night on the town. One of them gets bit by like a zombie girl, and then he gets like superpowers, but then he starts to like degenerate at like it has a diminishing return quality to it, where it starts out like a benefit, then it turns into like him turning into a monster.
That does sound familiar.
I don't know what it's called, but I remember that trailer on one of the DVDs on my shelf, so good luck, literal needle in a haystack trying to find that. But I remember being struck by that trailer and being like, I would watch this, but for some reason I didn't key in on the title, and for the life of me I can't remember what it was called. I can probably Google it after the fact, Brad. You're under no pressure to find it for me. I was just hoping maybe you knew it off the top of your head.
I don't. It does sound familiar, though.
Well, I'll Google it after the fact, and if I find it, I'll put it in the show notes.
Ooh, Mario Golf's coming out. Nice. Sorry, I just got an ad for that.
Okay, well, I guess that means it's time to wrap it up. So, Brad, I'm not gonna do another pick here, but did you have any for a speed round?
Yeah, I'll burn through these quick.
Okay, I'll get my stack together too.
All right, you want me to go first or?
I can go first.
Okay.
Being as you just went, I'll give you some time to prep here. Okay, so folks at home, if you're not aware how this goes, basically we all have a bunch of runner-ups in terms of things that we could have talked about. Not to say that none of these were worthy of conversation, but just to pay lip service and give them the old salute, we're just going to run through these real quick. So this isn't going to be a back and forth discussion. It's just going to be us just running through everything that didn't quite make the cut this time out. So for me, for my speed round here, I have the new Fist of the North Star box set. Part of the reason why I put this one aside was because this was one of the dumbest ways I've ever bought a movie. This is actually like an OVA series, so each of these discs is only like 40 minutes long, and it was purchased at a Suncoast Video, so each of these discs was about $30.
Ooh.
Yeah, being a movie collector for DVDs back in the day really fucking sucked. But the reason I say this was one of the dumbest ways I've ever bought a movie was that what you see here is not what I got. What I got was the first disc and the slipcase, this flimsy box. And the idea was you pay a couple bucks extra for the box, and then you have to buy the other things to fill it separately. And my dumbass actually did that. So yeah, that happened. I also have a Record of Lodos War box set. The reason I put this aside is because it's the only type of case that I have like this, where it's it's basic slipcase, but it has these shitty like paper thin clamshell cases inside it.
That takes me back.
Yeah, it takes you back to the dark ages, the shitty times. This is not a amazing series by any means. It is like a expansive universe of stories, though. Apparently this is like a series of novels that you still see stuff pop up from time to time. In fact, there's a game that's like on my wish list on Steam right now that has yet to come out, but there's like a demo available for it. So this franchise is alive and well. This is just the original OVA series for it. It's okay. It's basically Japanese D&D. I have the RoboCop trilogy on DVD. I've talked about this before. The reason I bought this was because back in the day, the only way to get the unrated cut of the original RoboCop film was, I think, through the Criterion disc, which was very expensive and hard to find, mostly just hard to find. And the other MGM DVD of this was kind of shit quality and didn't have the uncut version of it. Fortunately, I found this trilogy box set, which unfolds out into a RoboCop shape, by the way, which has the uncut version of the first film, like in this box set. So I actually went out of my way to hunt this down at like a Silver Platters, I think, back in the day. I have Megalo Box. This is a very, very handsome box set from Viz. It came with an art book. This is like a special edition of sorts. I really wish this series was better because it combines two of my favorite things, sci-fi and boxing. But the animation quality is erratic. Like it's not budgeted well, where when it should look good, it doesn't. And then the end to the series is absolutely terrible, like horrendous. It's also an adaptation of Ashita no Joe, which is a very, very, very good boxing anime from the 60s. That's the poster yonder.
Yeah.
It's an adaptation of that, and while it does borrow some good components of it, the original webcams are hard, Brad. The original is much, much, much better. I have Kamen Rider V3, the entire television series. It's like 70 fucking episodes or something. 6-disc collector's edition box set. I bought this. I've talked about this before. I bought this in Hawaii when I was visiting family and whatnot. And it just so happens that I was helping out the local businesses over there because this is actually put out by a Hawaiian distributor, Generation Kikaida. There was a series of Japanese sci-fi television shows that were very, very popular in Hawaii, like almost exclusively. And so I guess very old fans of those old 70s shows got together and band their resources and like obtained licensing and distribution of those shows via a factory in Hawaii. And so I paid for this very happily. It was very expensive, but at the same time, I love Kamen Rider, and it was very cool to actually buy like a domestic Hawaiian DVD.
That's cool.
Yeah. I only have 2 of those. The other one is called Blood of the Samurai, and it was like a live action TV series that they aired on like local television in Hawaii. And then I have just like a stack of shame. Not because these are bad movies, but because these are all franchises that carried on after the fact. So now I have like loose discs attached to them. So I have the Bourne trilogy, which obviously got 2 more movies after the fact, only one of which I own because that Jeremy Renner one can suck my dick. The other one's okay. Like it's not horrible. I don't know how you feel about Brad, but the scene in Greece is amazingly choreographed. Like that scene in particular is really, really well put together. The plot's kind of blah, but it delivers enough in terms of action spectacle. But yeah, the Jeremy Renner one is just like a stumble, if you ask me.
I don't think I ever saw that one.
You don't need to.
Yeah.
I have the Mission Impossible 5 movie collection. The franchise is going to be up to 7 in a year or 2, so fuck. I have the Terminator Anthology, which only includes the first 4 films. I can't pay for Genesis. I just can't. We talked about earlier. I don't want that on my shelf. And Dark Fate was fine. Like it wasn't offensively bad. It was just fine. So I actually don't own any more Terminator movies than what you just saw. And then I also have the Alien box set and Covenant separately. Do not own Prometheus though. So I guess that tells you folks at home how I feel about Prometheus. But yeah, I guess that's about it for my speed round. Ball is to you, sir. What you got? Choose your destiny.
Yeah. I've got a couple Alfred Hitchcock collections here. This one's got Notorious, Rebecca, and Spellbound. Real cheap set. Real just if you want the movies, just buy that. And then I've also got this one. It's the Essentials collection, and like it says, it's got the Essentials. You got Rear Window, Vertigo, North by Northwest, Psycho, and The Birds. Most of those are out on 4K now. I think North by Northwest might not have been included in the 4K set that just came out, but basically they almost put this exact thing out in 4K. But I only have the Blu-ray version. This one, awesome set, but the reason I didn't talk about it is I have not watched any movies from it. I was almost brought it up and was just going to say pass the ball to you, but I didn't want to do that. It felt a little unfair to you. It's the Bruce Lee Greatest Hits Criterion, which you have as well. Yes, I see it there. I see it. It's an awesome box, but I just haven't gotten around to checking any of them out, which definitely something I want to do. We have a similar situation, different films, but similar situation with the Omen collection. I have seen the first film. I haven't seen the first one, but it's been a while, and I've never seen any of the sequels. Very similar to the Rex set, just, basic blue cases, outer cardboard packaging. Not bad, it is what it is, but I would like to go through and watch these, especially the one with Sam Neill where he becomes president or whatever. I'm very excited to watch that one. And then this is a gorgeous set, but I've talked about it before and I've only seen the first one. It's the Ring U collection, which I did watch the first Ring U. Of course, I do love the American remake, but this is a great set. I love the Arrow. Almost always does a great job, except when they put out Donnie Darko on 4K. But we won't talk about that. We don't need to get into that controversy. But normally, Arrow is one of my favorites.
Yeah, one of these days I'll have to get around to watching that whole series. I only saw the first one, and actually I may not have even seen the original Japanese version, just the Gore Verbinski one, and not the sequel. but it's so important to the history of horror that it's like one of those things that's like, you probably should check that out, Trevor.
Yeah.
Like I said, I should check out a lot of things. I'm too busy watching Dolph Lundgren movies and Mark Dacascos movies from the 90s.
Hey, do what makes you happy.
Yeah, and not to be that guy, but it's Ringu.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, yes, of course.
Goo,
Of course.
goo.
My bad.
Not to be that guy, but just to save you a party foul.
No, I appreciate it.
But I suppose that's about it for our Boffo Box Sets discussion. So before we go, though, Brad, would you please let the folks at home know where they can find you and your internet whatsits?
Well, it's the Cinema Speak podcast, so you can search for Cinema Speak on any podcast service that you listen to. We're on Twitter at The Cinema Speak, or we're on Instagram, Cinema Speak Podcast. And if you just want to listen to us on the web, go to cinemaspeak.libsyn.com.
All right. Thanks so much for that, Brad. And thank you so much for joining me. It's always
Yeah.
it's always great to talk about our collections.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, this is something I look forward to every month.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
hopefully the video pans out, because I hope the folks at home get a chance to see what some of these products look like and the enthusiasm that comes across our faces as we talk about them. But yeah, thanks again for joining me today. But folks at home, if you'd like to catch up on any of our other Catching Up on Cinema content, you can find all of that collected on our website at catchinguponcinema.com. We also have a couple of social media accounts in the form of an Instagram at Catching Up on Cinema, as well as a Twitter at Catching Cinema. So feel free to hit me up at either of those and let me know about things I got wrong or things I should see. And also, the podcast is available on pretty much every platform you can imagine, including Cephalopod. So fucking Google it. But that being said, thank you so much for joining us, and we will catch you next time.